So, welcome everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today we're diving into the Yongnuo YN50mm F1.8X DSM lens for Fujifilm X-Mount. It's a true gem for both photography and videography enthusiasts. It isn't just another addition to your kit, it brings one of the most loved focal lengths into a price point that's so affordable, I'd have a hard time not recommending it. Personally, I kind of forgot how much fun it was to shoot with a nifty 50 like this, so I'm really glad that they sent this over. With that being said, they have no input over what I say in the video, and all the opinions are my own. However, I always encourage viewing different perspectives and reviews for a well-rounded opinion. It offers a 75mm equivalent focal length thanks to its APS-C format coverage. With its f1.8 maximum aperture, you're looking at pretty good performance in low light situations and the ability to achieve some shallow depth of field, with quite pleasing bokeh, but we will see that in our tests later on in the video. On the flip side, it narrows down to f16. Compatible with a wide range of Fujifilm X-Mount cameras, this lens is a versatile performer. Now at $117, it's a steal compared to its counterparts like the Viltrox 56mm f1.4 or the pricier Fujifilm XF 50mm and 56mm lenses. Keep in mind, prices can fluctuate, so do check out the links I've dropped below for the latest updates. The build quality is decent despite its plastic construction. It's lightweight at 134 grams, making it a breeze to carry around. The design is sleek and minimalist, sporting a black finish with a silver ring around the front element. You'll find a 49mm filter thread, which is quite standard, and it comes with a handy plastic lens hood. The lens hood is not as secure as on higher priced lenses, but to be quite honest with you, I never use these. If flaring really was an issue, you can just use your hand to block it out. Now the mount itself is made from metallic components, which is great. This means it won't leave any nasty residue within the body of your camera and last far longer. For the price point, it's far better than those Canon nifty 50 lenses we always used to have, but it's still very cheap, so keep your expectations in check. It has a single ring on the barrel, which does feel nice and damped, but it does have some side-to-side wiggle. This is to be expected for the price point. There's also a USB-C port for firmware updates. I'm very glad they went with USB-C over, for example, micro USB. As for accessories, it's pretty standard with a lens hood, lens caps and a user manual. Focusing on the aperture and focus, the lens has a minimum focus distance of 45 centimeters, not the closest for macro work, but decent for portraits. The f1.8 aperture is fantastic for isolating subjects, and the digital stepping motor ensures fast, accurate and relatively quiet autofocus. It's of course a tad slower than what you'd find on a lens 10 times more expensive, but it had no trouble acquiring a subject. You will hear it resonate through the body of the camera if you don't have an external microphone. It honestly shouldn't be an issue, as I've never experienced a situation where the noise of a lens was a problem. The manual focus is fly-by-wire, so the focus ring doesn't have any hard stops. So looking at the focus breathing test here, there is a decent amount of breathing on this lens, and I had a bit of a difficult time getting a smooth shot because the manual focus ring has quite a large throw. I conducted thorough testing on my Fuji X-H2S with in-camera corrections turned off, so let's take a look. Wide open at f1.8. We do see quite a lot of red fringing around the edges, although the sharpness is pretty decent. When we stop down to f2.8, all the fringing almost disappears in the center, but it is still present in the corners. The sharpness remains about the same. As we stop down to f4.0, the sharpness improves, and the fringing also starts to dissipate in the corners. Stopping down again to f5.6. We see excellent sharpness here, absolutely on par with some other lenses I've tested, and here we see excellent corner sharpness as well. Stopping down to f8. The overall image is very clinical. The fringing has completely disappeared and everything is incredibly sharp. stopping down to f11 again, a very clean image. This would be perfect for if you would like to take landscape pictures and have everything as sharp as possible. When we stop down to f16, we do see a tad bit of diffraction creeping in, yet it's not nearly as bad as some other lenses, and I'm actually very impressed with how well it holds up. In terms of aberrations, there is quite a decent amount of vignetting at f1.8, but that dissipates at f2.8 and completely disappears at f4.0. It also displays some pincushion distortions here. In terms of bokeh, it renders those out of focus backgrounds very pleasingly. This is partly due to its circular aperture blades. The backgrounds do have some amount of character to them, but they're very soft, very clear and clean. It's worth noting that this lens doesn't come with built-in image stabilization, which is never the case for primes. Instead, it relies on the camera's in-body image stabilization. This is something to consider, especially if you're into handheld video shooting. With the Fuji X-H2S, for instance, the IBIS does remove some micro jitters, providing up to 6.5 stops of stabilization. But remember, this might vary depending on your camera model. It's very common to find yourself with all the gear in the world later down the line in your photography journey, but still take the smallest lens with you because that's what brings you joy. And that's what this lens has done for me. It's a valuable part of my kit and has found its place on my EDC camera because of its excellent focal length and size. So if you enjoyed this video, you might also like this next one about the vintage Canon FD 35-105, which is a real gem from the past.